Guten Tag alle, Herr Wallace here. Today we are going to talk again about the genitive case in German. Remember, the genitive in German is used to show possession, and it kind of harkens back to the Old English way of saying of the. So, for example, that is the car of my brother, or that is the house of my sister. So in the genitive in German, the definite articles will change, just like they did in accusative and dative. Well, I mean, the fact that they changed, not in the same exact way. Der will change to des, die to der, das to des, and the plural will change to der. And remember, if you're using the genitive and you're using a masculine or neuter word that is one syllable long, it will add also an es, and I'll show you what I mean again here in a minute. And if you are using a masculine or neuter word that is more than one syllable long, you'll just add an s. Now let's look at some, before we look at the examples of the genitive, let's look at just prepositions in general here. And I have a mixture here of the 4 different types of prepositions that there are in German. There are dative prepositions, accusative prepositions, prepositions that can be accusative or dative, or so-called two-way prepositions, and then there's the genitive prepositions. So we're just going to run through them each here, tell you which category it belongs to and what it means. So Nummer 1, mit is dative and it means with. Aus is dative and it means out of. Gegen, against, which is accusative. In relation to time, gegen means about or around. So, for example, gegen 5 Uhr, around 5 o'clock. Für, which is for, accusative. Während, a genitive preposition, means while or during. Durch, accusative preposition, that means through. In, it's a two-way preposition, that means in. Neben, next to, also a two-way preposition. Ohne, without, accusative. Statt, a genitive preposition that means instead of. Außer, a dative preposition that means except for. Bei, a dative preposition that means can be at. Can have various other meanings as well. Zwischen, accusative and dative preposition, two-way preposition that means between. Auf, again another two-way preposition that means on top of. Means around and it's accusative, or in relation to time it means exactly at. For example, 12 Uhr, at 12 o'clock. Trotz, in spite of, genitive preposition. Nach, dative preposition, means after, but you can also be used, for example, going to places, like ich fahre nach Atlanta, so I'm driving to Atlanta. Unter, a two-way preposition that means under. Von, a dative preposition, means from or of the. Wegen, because of, genitive preposition. Seit, since, dative preposition. Zu, to, dative preposition. Vor, in front of, two-way preposition. Hinter, behind, two-way preposition. One thing you'll notice here with the two-way prepositions, it's always prepositions that can describe where something is located at. So, for example, next to, or on top of, or underneath. So if you're describing where something is located at, or wo it is, you're going to use dative. But if it's used with an action like placing or laying, then it's going to be accusative. Okay, so we're going to run through some genitive examples here of the genitive in German. And you sometimes need to think, it's helpful to think of the genitive as of the, or in English we form it with an apostrophe s. You can also use s without the apostrophe in German, but normally it's used with a specific person, so that is Maike's Auto, for example. Okay, it is the end of the day. Es ist das Ende des Tages. So we're taking der Tag, which is a masculine noun, and we're changing it to des, and since Tag is one syllable long, we're going to add an es to the end of it, thus giving us es ist das Ende des Tages. It is the beginning of the end. Es ist der Anfang des Endes. So really, das Ende is the word here, and so it's really just adding an s, because Ende is 2 syllables long. I've highlighted the es here, but it's really just the s should be highlighted here, because the e actually belongs to the word. Das will change to des, so des endes. That is my father's car, so one way to say this in German, das ist das Auto meines Vaters. So Vater is 2 syllables long. It's a masculine noun, so we're just adding an S to it, and we're taking the es and putting it on the possessive pronoun mine. Is that your sister's cat? So we're going to use the informal pronoun, possessive pronoun dein. Ist das die Katze deiner Schwester? So we have a D changing to der, and we've added the ER onto the possessive pronoun dein, thus giving us deiner. And when a noun is feminine, it does not have any endings, unlike the masculine neuter nouns will in the genitive. That is my brother's dog. Das ist der Hund meines Bruders. Is that your sister's house? Ist das Haus deiner Schwester? Where's your friend's car? Wo ist das Auto deines Freundes? Freund, der Freund, masculine, so we add, it's 1 syllable long, so we add an es. Remember, you can't put umlauts over the EU diphthong. You can only do it over O's, U's, and A's, and the AU combination sometimes as well. When is your wife's birthday? Wann ist der Geburtstag deiner Frau? So die Frau, der, no ending because it's originally feminine. Ich kann die Fahne unserer Schule sehen. So you have the possessive pronoun unser. Die Schule would change to der, so we added an extra ER into unsere Schule sehen. They are the dogs of war. Sie sind die Hunde des Krieges. So der Krieg to des, and then Krieg, masculine noun, adding es, 1 syllable long. Some more examples. Das ist der Anfang des Friedens. Frieden, der Frieden, changed to des. Frieden, 2 syllables long, add an S. Have to in German throws a lot of Americans and English speakers off. Have to in German is just muss, so ich muss während des Tages arbeiten. So here we're using, again, a genitive preposition, während, and then der Tag to des, and Tag, 1 syllable long, es. Muss wegen der Zeit gehen. One other thing when you're using muss, as I've pointed out before, that is a modal verb, which is a class of verbs in German that's always going to push the secondary verb in the sentence, in number 12 that's arbeiten, and number 13 gehen, to the end of the sentence, and it will be put in its infinitive form. If it's a separable prefix verb like anziehen or aussehen, it will come back together. So for example, ich muss meine Jacke anziehen, it'll all be back together. I'm going to the gas station, so in German, I am going is just ich gehe zur Tankstelle statt der Bibliothek, und ich werde das Spiel trotz des Schmerzes spielen. So I'm going to play the game in spite of the pain, or despite the pain. Okay, das war's eigentlich. Vielen Dank für das Zuschauen. Auf Wiedersehen.